Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Hi, this is Jenna.
And this is Kelly.
And you're listening to ODFM.
This episode is One Drop from Murder. Hey, we have to do a shout out, guys. We have a new Audie added to our faction in Patreon. Yes.
Melinda. New Patreon. Thank you so much. We are so happy to have you.
Yes, we love you, Melinda. And Melinda actually gave us the idea for one of our stories. It was One Doobie from Murder. It was the Gitchy Girl story.
Doobie.
So
thank you for that hot tip.
Yes, hot tips. Hot tip in so many ways, like tip of the doobie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got so many meanings.
So many meanings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
one drop.
Yeah, one drop.
All right.
So we're going to Colorado again. So many crimes here.
So, woohoo! You
Yay,
lucky girl.
Yes. Okay, so every year, Harold, what a name, Hal.
Harold.
I had a art teacher named Harold, but he went by Hal, and I thought
Did he
it was
have
better.
a purple crayon? Because that was one of my
Harold and the
favorite
Purple
books.
Crayon. It was
Harold
so
and the Purple Crayon.
good. Oh my gosh, he was so cute. Not this guy. Okay, so
This is not
not
what Harold and the Purple Crayon grew up to be.
no, let's hope
Okay.
not. So Harold Henthorne, he takes his wife every year, Tony's her name, on a trip for their anniversary.
Oh, that's
So-
nice.
I
wonder
know.
what that's like.
I don't know. So on September 29th of 2011, he calls up Tony's office where she works as an ophthalmologist.
Okay.
And he gets the staff in on the surprise he's going to give her by having them pretend he's a patient. So they put him in a room and they're like, okay, Tony, your patient is ready. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when Tony walks in, they're recording everything. So when Tony walks in the room, he sweeps her off to a trip. But it's funny because Tony's reaction's like, what the fuck?
That was not the reaction.
She doesn't seem thrilled. She just looks more confused than anything. So she's like, okay, what are you doing here?
Bit anticlimactic.
Yes, a little bit. But
That happened when my sister got proposed to. I believe the official story that she will not tell her children is that she was doing laundry and she turned around and her now husband was down on one knee with the ring and her reaction was, what the fuck are you doing? So,
I'm doing laundry.
Just like they do in the movies. It was just like you always see in the movies. So,
and that was not romantic.
Right.
Oh, no.
that's not
Fail.
the reaction I was looking for. I mean, she was just shocked, pleasantly shocked. It just came out
It
really
just was
negative.
like, couldn't you have taken me to dinner or something?
fuck
The
are you
laundry
doing?
room? But the chore I like the least. But maybe he was trying to make it better so that every time she did laundry, she'd be like, oh, No.
I don't know, man. It just didn't
work.
go exactly how it was. Anyway, okay.
Anyway, so he's got a go bag ready for her, and their daughter Haley is being cared for by.
He packed for her?
He got a babysitter for their daughter, and the trip's a go.
Whoa.
I know.
I'm very impressed.
Super impressed, right? So they make their way up to Estes Park, where I talk about a lot because it's not far from here. It's like an hour and a half. And they stay in the infamous Stanley Hotel.
Oh.
Yes. And then the next day, they get a late start for a hike that Harold had planned up in Deer Mountain Trail, which is about 3 miles. So,
Did they get a late start because they
get a
all
little
night?
wookie.
Hopefully
Yeah.
not with the woman from room.
Yeah, what room is it? 4 or something?
Yeah. Hopefully it wasn't because of the.
They weren't
dead
up all
woman
night
and
because
stuff.
of the ghosts.
Right.
Yeah, but so they get a late start, and it's not something you typically want to start out late on a 3 mile hike because that means it's a 6 mile hike total. If it's 3 miles in, it's 3 miles out.
That's a lot of hiking for me.
That's a lot of hiking, and it's rugged territory. It's not like a regular little trail.
So you're not just going down a path. Oh, crap.
Right. This is pretty rugged, and so it's a little surprising. They're both in their 50s at this point.
Wow.
But, and they didn't start till 2 in the afternoon. And
that is late.
Yeah, and it's September.
I thought you meant like 10.
No,
You know,
2 in the afternoon, and it's September, so
it's going to get darker
around
earlier.
6. Yeah.
And yeah.
So unless you're like an avid hiker and you're not dilly-dallying, you're like running the trail, you'll be fine.
Did you just say dilly-dallying?
Dilly-dallying? No dilly-dallying or tomfoolery on this trail.
Didn't know any young whippersnappers used that.
That's because I'm not young. I'm definitely not a whippersnapper. So yeah, it's likely to be dark or near dark when they get back. So
yeah, well, are they going like 3 miles in to see something? Because then it would be like you hike in there and go, "Yep, that's pretty.
There
Turn around. We gotta go.
Gotta go. Take a quick shot. Gotta go." Yeah, yeah. I don't know. They were going to have lunch. Apparently, a late lunch on the trail and everything too.
What time do they eat? What is happening?
I know. I don't know. Maybe they had their clocks set wrong.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So at 5:54 p.m., 911 receives a call from a man saying he's in Rocky Mountain National Park and his wife has fallen from a ledge on the north summit of Deer Mountain.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, she's had a bad fall. Probably 30 to 40 feet, and she's in critical condition.
Okay. I feel like that's really underestimating. She's had a bad fall. She's had a little whoopsie.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
30 or 40
She
feet.
tripped. No. Yeah.
Shit, man.
Plus, it ends up being something like 120 feet in the end. I mean, it's not like a small
So he
fall.
is also not good at estimating distances.
No. Hard to tell from the top how far down she fell.
I mean, already when you're talking like 40 to 50, I mean, that's a couple stories, right?
Yeah,
That's
at least
even more.
this is, yeah.
Dude.
Along rocks. I mean, and it's, oof.
Oh, yeah, it's not like she fell on marshmallows.
Yeah. It's a rocky ledge. She was hit inside the things.
Oh!
He says, it'll take too long for rescuers to get there on foot. Can you send a helicopter? And they're like, that'd be great, but this is the Rocky Mountains. There's literally rocks. I mean, everything's rocks.
Right. Where are we going to land this puppy?
Even land. Yeah, it's just boulders everywhere. So they have to hike it to go get her. And so at the time Harold had called in, it's right before 6 p.m. It's 5:54.
So it's right before the sun is setting. Mm-hmm. Shit.
Right before dusk. So Mark Faherty, he's a park ranger, and he's dispatched to aid in the rescue. And Mark's like very, very avid hiker. So he's running the trail to get to her. And when he gets to the area where Harold described the accident is, he blows his whistle, and Harold, he was actually prepared. He has a whistle too, and so he guides him to where Tony's laid out. He had climbed down the cliff edge to where she was at to try to help her. So Mark, the ranger, he noticed Tony was lying on her back with a cloth wrapped around her head, which was obviously bleeding badly, like badly.
Oh.
And Harold was performing chest compressions.
Oh, my God.
I'm guessing it must have taken, 3 miles to get up into there because it was at the peak. So
how long was he?
I don't know how long he took to get there. Yeah, exactly. Mark notices Tony's eyes are slightly open. And when Mark, he goes and checks her breathing and her pulse, and he's like, no, she's gone. I'm sorry, but she's gone.
Oh, so he was just
trying.
Yeah, okay.
So they had to hike down and leave Tony's body with another ranger who came up to wait to be retrieved in the morning. And
wait, so it was somebody's job to sit with a dead body all night?
All night. Yep, just for keep scavengers away and stuff.
Ew.
Fun. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm going to put that
in the dark.
I'm putting that up there with Taco Bell bathroom cleaner as jobs that I don't ever want to do.
Right. Sit there with a dead body in the middle of the night with bears, mountain lions, coyotes.
Basically with either something that could be haunted or baits. Either way.
The bait scares me more. I don't think the ghost would hurt me.
Man. I wouldn't want. Oh, no.
What a beautiful night it is out. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Nope.
And in September, it can't be that warm. I mean, it's pretty chilly that time of year up there. So
count me out.
Yeah, no thanks. So they hike down and they leave Tony's body with that other ranger. And at this point, field investigators come out to check the area and take photos because that's rules. It's federal land.
Okay.
So they have to go take photos of the accident, probably, take notes, say, don't hike here for a while.
Can they even do that in the dark, or did they do that in the morning?
They did it the next morning.
Okay,
yeah.
I was going to say.
So, they realized that a tree with a limb is broken off And it's about halfway down the cliff where Toni had fallen. So it looked like she'd probably hit that tree on her way down, broke a limb, and fell the rest of the way. Not an easy fall.
Ooh.
So they called it the impact tree. Bad name. Yeah. And the investigator did notice a few strange things at the scene. So it's kind of good they left the body there and everything. The area of the fall was kind of concealed. It's like far off of the regular trail they were hiking. And it's not something you could see from the trail because it's a pretty dense forested area.
Okay.
Why were they over there, for one?
Okay.
And then there was an untied boot there by the tree that she had hit. And they're like, usually when someone falls and a shoe falls off, the shoe doesn't come untied. It's usually still tied. So they thought that was a little weird.
Right.
Like, yeah, that could happen, I guess.
Okay. And it was untied. Okay.
So it's laying next to the tree where she hit. And then right next to Toni, her body, was her backpack, very close to her, not on her back or anything, but just sitting by her.
Oh, okay.
And her camera's beside her as well. So if you're like rolling down a hill, shit's going to go flying everywhere. It's not going to land right by you because they have different weights. Unless they're attached to you somehow.
I guess I can't imagine doing this. All I can think of is if she was, like if he took it off of her so he could roll her on her back so he could do chest compressions.
That could be. Yeah.
I don't know. When someone hits the ground like that, I don't know that I'd want to move them.
I know, right?
Okay.
So Harold's car. Sorry, I'm burping.
Nice.
Harold's car was searched. They made him leave it at the site. They took him down to town and everything and made him leave the car. And they searched his car and investigated that as well. And, he should have thought about this ahead of time. But a map of the area was found in the car. That's not weird. But the markings on it were.
Well, it's weird that you take a map to someplace and then don't take it with you. That's
right.
kind of weird.
That's definitely weird. Why didn't he take it with him on the trail?
Nope, got this memorized.
Yeah. I'm good. I've been here.
Right.
So Deer Ridge Trail, it was highlighted, and below the trail was an X with the word hike by it. That's not weird. But above the trail was an X drawn in highlighter, which was really suspicious because that's exactly where Toni had fallen. Oops. Which was way off the trail.
Definitely not go here.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
I'm just highlighting where you probably don't want to be because you might fall off of a giant cliff.
Oh my God.
So because of that, the investigation was handed over to the ISB, which is the Investigative Services Branch of the federal parks, which I didn't even know they had. It's like a federal, it's like the FBI of the national parks.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had.
I had no idea they had this.
Although in light of recent events, I feel like there's definitely room for employment for that particular division because there seems to be national park seems to be a popular place for murders and suspicious things.
Well, and they said they only have something like 85 of these people total in the U.S. of these investigators. So there was like...
So they park hop?
Kinda. This lady, they had one lady that was the investigator for it, but she is awesome.
Oh, wow.
And she does live in Colorado. So let's see. They investigate complicated felony crimes, and if it happens in a national park, they'll investigate it. So in certain national parks, they do become federal offenses because they're federal property, which totally makes sense.
Okay.
Kind of like we had that one story about a guy who brought in a bunch of guns and he went through federal land. And so it was, I kind of remember something about that.
Oh.
And so it was a federal offense. They were able to bring in the FBI because he had gone.
Was that the one where it was the teenager?
Maybe.
And he killed the girl by the lake?
Oh, maybe that was it.
I just remember that he had guns and he was driving in a truck for a while.
I was thinking it might have been the one that he killed the girl. He was an online dating thing. He was a huge dude and she was tiny.
Oh, maybe it was that one.
We can't even remember our own stories. It's so funny. I can't remember anybody's names. Okay, so anyway. Beth Schott. She is the special agent with the ISB and is the
Her
detective.
name is Beth Schott?
Yes, with 2 T's. Awesome. Beth Schott. I know, she's badass. So the rangers call her about the suspicious map, and she's like, it's probably nothing. But then she sees it. She's like, Yeah.
It's a little too coincidental.
Yeah. And she went and hiked the area, and then she saw where it was at. She's like, nobody needs to be out here. Why are they going out here?
Yeah.
So a couple days after Tony's death, one of the rangers goes to Harold's house in Littleton, Colorado, where they also meet the couple's young daughter, Haley.
Okay.
So they continue down to Harold's office. It's in the basement. It's not creepy. It's just a nice office in the basement. So the ranger brought along the memory card from Tony's camera. The camera had been destroyed in the fall, but luckily the memory card hadn't.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So he shows some of the pictures to Harold that were on there, and Harold seems upset at the last moments before Tony's death, of their hike up there and all this. And the ranger's like trying to delve deeper into the events of the day because he's kind of suspicious. He's like, something's weird, something stinks here. So Harold told him he hiked until the trail plateaued, and he wanted to walk off the trail for privacy. Dude.
You're in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. Like, it's not a heavily hiked trail. I don't think you're going to run into anybody. You've got privacy right here.
We wanted some privacy.
It's like the stupidest thing ever. And to tell that to these park rangers who are there all day, and they're like, yo, I see person maybe once a week up in these mountains. It's so remote.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what he wanted to do, too, was laugh. So it's difficult hiking to the spot the two went to have lunch. So it's not like regular hikers use this trail.
Gotcha. So, this is some serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not something you'd be like, oh, let's go explore over here. And
right.
Yeah. You have to previously scout that area to even know
that it's there.
That these beautiful, and there are beautiful cliff sides and stuff, but you have to know where you're going.
Gotcha.
And had he said, yeah, I've been there and this is a beautiful area, I just wanted to take her to see it, that would make more sense. But he didn't.
No, he wanted some privacy.
Yeah, I wanted some privacies. Harold told them that it was because Tony had seen turkeys heading that way and she wanted to go watch them. And the ranger's like, that's odd because turkeys don't typically hang around all the rocky parts on rocky mountainsides.
And that's why it was so weird and she followed them.
Yeah. She's like, what the hell are turkeys doing way up here? And then he changes. He's like, oh, yeah, maybe it wasn't turkeys. Maybe it was deer. She saw something she wanted to go look at.
Yeah, because turkeys and deer, it's easy to confuse. They're
now,
so similar.
Right. Or mountain goats would have made more sense. There are a bunch of mountain goats up there, but whatever.
She saw something alive and moving and she followed it.
She followed it because that's smart to do in the middle of nowhere.
That's totally reasonable explanation.
Yeah. So then he changed again. He's like, okay, we actually went there to be intimate.
Again, I think you could have done it right there on the trail and
nobody's coming around.
Mm-hmm. Also, when you said we wanted privacy, that's kind of where I assumed you were going anyway. But thanks for spelling it out.
Thanks for saying what you really wanted to do. But seriously, so when going there, you have to climb down a 60-degree boulder field to get to where they supposedly had lunch.
Had lunch with air quotes. I don't know, man. That seems like a lot of work for something you could do.
Right.
In any of those places.
Plus, then you're going to have to climb back up.
Then you got to go back up.
No.
After you've already expended all that energy.
Yeah.
And you have to hike 3 more miles.
Back up. No, thanks. So halfway down, there's an outcropping where one of her boots was recovered and the tree that she hit at the bottom. Okay, so you can kind of see it when you look over the edge. There's this outcropping. So, she hit that. Harold's like, well, Tony was walking quickly toward the edge of the ledge, but he didn't actually witness her falling off of it because he's preoccupied with his phone and he's receiving a text saying that Haley had just won a soccer game. So he was excited about this and didn't look. And suddenly.
And so because he wasn't watching. Gone. So his story is he was looking at his phone while his wife chased a turkey off a cliff. Is that what we're saying?
That would make more sense.
Is that the gist of the story?
I guess. He's just like, oh, she's walking quickly towards the edge. And I was like, oh, I got a text.
I mean, that happened once at a park where there was like a mama duck and some baby ducks and they were going straight towards the river. And I caught Gavin as a 2-year-old just before he walked right in with them. But again, that was a 2-year-old.
Yeah, a 50-something-old is not going to keep walking off of the cliff.
She just was like mesmerized by these turkeys and just followed them. And now I'm picturing my mom with the whole, if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge?
If it's a bunch of turkeys,
Right.
yes.
She was just so focused. It didn't occur to her that there was a cliff there. Okay.
Don't follow the turkeys off the cliff or something. Turkeys
Right.
jumping off the cliff, kind of like old buffalo runs where they run the buffalo off
If
the
a turkey
cliff.
jumped off a cliff, would you?
Okay, so the ranger's like, okay, you got this text. Can I see this text that you got? So he lets them look at it. It's stamped as received at 5:54, like time stamped.
I thought he had already called.
That's the exact same time that the 911 call was picked up by Harold.
Interesting.
Exact same time. So that's weird. Harold had told Mark, the ranger, initially that it had taken 45 minutes for him to scramble down to the bottom of the ledge where Tony's body was, and that's when he called 911. So
Gotcha.
which way is it? You just flew
Right.
down there right at the same time? So Mark, at that point, the ranger, he didn't point out the discrepancy at the time. So he's just like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. But he does pull out the map. Yes, Harold. So what's with the markings on this map that we found in your car? And that's the first time that Harold's speechless, just
Ooh.
didn't know what to say. And after that, he kind of said, well, I got work to do or something, made the ranger leave.
I have other things to do.
Never called him back. He wouldn't return any of the ranger's calls.
Good. That's not suspicious at all.
No, not at all. Then he lawyered up. Investigators begin to call the friends and family to get an idea of how Harold and Tony's relationship was. And they find out Tony grew up in Louisiana with two brothers, and their dad was an oil geologist and made hella good money.
Ooh.
Because it was during the 50s, 60s. Yeah,
for him.
so not bad. And even though they had a bunch of money, all of the family were very hard workers, had great work ethic, and Tony was an overachiever in everything. So she had always wanted to be a doctor, and she made her way to become an ophthalmologist. So, and she had been married before Harold, but it hadn't worked out, which it bothered her so much because she was a till death do we part type of person.
Gotcha.
She was very Christian, and she felt like getting a divorce was a major failure.
Gotcha.
She was a successful doctor, and she's making a good living for herself. And she was very involved with her church, where she sang in the choir, and she counseled young professionals at the church. And
Wow.
I know this. How do you have time to be a doctor?
I don't know. I'm exhausted
all that.
listening to all this. This is exhausting.
No, she's amazing.
Dang.
So Tony had always very much wanted children, but having just gotten divorced and then she's in her 40s,
Yeah.
she's worried it won't happen. So her clock is ticking and she's not finding the right guy while living in Mississippi at this
Oh
point.
boy. Okay.
Because she can't find a man in Mississippi, she turns on her computer to an online dating site called ChristianMatchmakers.com.
ChristianMatchmakers.com.
Yes.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, so there she met the man of her dreams in Harold. Oh, Harold.
I have a hard time with that whole sentence. She met the man of her dreams in Harold. It just doesn't sound
He doesn't sound sexy, right?
dreamy.
Not very.
Oh well.
No. And so he said he said all the right things and he was good looking and he too wanted to start a family and they're about the same age. So
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. And he presented himself as an independent fundraiser for nonprofits, specifically.
I thought you were going to say asbestos. Asbestos specifically.
Specifically churches and hospitals.
Oh. Two things close to her heart.
Yes. Weird. So he's made a ton of money doing this apparently, and he seems to be well off. And he comes off as an exuberant, happy person. To her family, he was always kind of trying to impress others, is how they saw it.
All right.
Yeah, this is great. So one of her family, Tony's family, described him like a used car salesman. And they said, he's great because he tells you how great he is. Believe me, I'm awesome. So shortly after meeting in person, the couple got engaged. Like, not very long, maybe 7 months. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so
whoa, okay.
They got married after meeting in person. Oh, yeah, meeting in person only 6 or 7 times during their courtship.
Dang.
That's pretty quick. I know they wanted babies real quick, and she's in her mid-40s, so
Yeah, I guess that clock was getting really loud.
Yeah, it was danging. So they had a huge, extravagant church wedding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So after 2 years of marriage, they decided to move to Colorado. And that's where he lived, I assume, before that.
Oh, okay.
Toni sold her practice down in Mississippi, and they relocate to an upscale community called Highlands Ranch outside of Littleton. And they wanted children right away since Toni was in her 40s. She got pregnant in her mid-40s.
Okay.
And the marriage seemed ideal. So it looks like a good marriage from the outside. And investigators are like, okay, well, what do we think could happen?
So good.
So far, so good. So they go back to look at the details that they could find about the day that the accident happened because they still felt something is out of whack with her death. So in the autopsy report, she had multiple blunt force injuries showing she had tumbled down the cliff. So she had a massive head wound. We're talking like she'd almost been scalped.
Oh.
And when Harold called in, he claimed, she probably has a concussion, but her head would have been bleeding profusely. And why didn't he mention that? He just didn't. He just said, she's hurt. She had a fall. I'm helping her with CPR, but nothing.
That's really weird.
To talk about the blood. Also, behind where the body lay, Harold built a fire that he claimed was a signal fire.
What?
He built a fire.
Did he make s'mores? What the fuck? What do you mean?
He built a little fire, but it's like super small, and it could only be used. It would never be a signal fire. Like you got to have a huge fire for a signal fire. It didn't even count. Plus, Colorado's always on fire, so don't try to start
really
another.
Weird.
Yeah, he had also claimed that he'd done CPR the whole time, but Toni's lipstick was still cleanly applied and not smeared all over her face like it would be, right? So
did he just do the compressions part and just leave out the other?
Did you forget that she might need air too?
Oh my God. Okay.
So when they asked to see all the text messages received that day, Harold said no.
What?
He'd only been willing to show him the one he'd received about his daughter's soccer game. So that's a little sus. Yeah.
He just said no.
No, you don't get to see that.
Oh.
And
okay.
Yeah. Oh,
I just no.
Okay, then I guess. And he got rid of that phone after the incident.
Well,
he thought that would get rid of all the call logs and stuff. No. But during the 911 call, he kept hanging up on dispatch, claiming his battery was low and he didn't want to lose power so that he could tell rescuers where he was, which that makes sense. That's okay. But he kept hanging up on him. And when he's doing that, he then texted Toni's brother, who is a surgeon. So he texts back and forth with the surgeon telling him that, Toni's had a bad fall. Here's her pulse rate and respiration. Somehow was able to get that.
So,
but he...
Wait. He hung up on dispatch.
Yeah.
So
several
he could
times.
text
the surgeon.
The brother, who's
I know. And I think to help his story a little bit. So he tells him the pulse and respiration, but he never mentions the head wound or that she's bleeding out. Like, she's literally bleeding out in here.
Oh, my God.
So he's saying he did CPR the whole time. He's waiting for EMTs, but he's also starting a fire. He's texting. How does he have time to do all this stuff?
Really good at multitasking.
Right.
Super good.
If he's busy giving mouth-to-mouth and chest compressions, how are you like, I'm texting with... Maybe it's voice to text. I don't know.
Well, he was, like rubbing the two sticks together with his hands while he was using his foot to compress her chest.
Yes,
I don't understand. What?
I don't either. Oh, and he sent or received 98 texts that night.
98 texts?
98. He was busy.
I have a 12-year-old girl and she doesn't send that many texts
I know.
in an hour. That's insane.
And then, so another crazy point. So for Toni's memorial, he had everything ready immediately, even having put together a memorial video montage within 36 hours of her death.
Dude. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me?
Nope. Oh, it so happens. I have this. Just so happens. Oh, my God.
Well, just in case something happened on our hike, I figured I'd come up with a memorial video.
That's not creepy.
What happens if she walks in as he's making her memorial video?
Oh, God. Oh, I feel a little strange today. I don't think I want to go on this hike.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Turns out the day after Toni died, the day after she died, Harold had contacted a photographer to put together the slideshow. So she's this photographer. She's expecting him to send in just whatever he can drum up quickly, just a barrage of stuff. But she's shocked when he sends 70 carefully selected photos that he had right at the ready for her. Just, oh, yep, I got it right here. Here you go. Yeah, not weird at all.
What the fuck?
This dude is not so smart. So Harold, though, is in every photo. None of them. So they're playing this at the memorial, the friends and family.
Okay. So this was for the memorial of her life, but it only involves like the last 5 to 10 years of it. Because
exactly. He's in every photo. There's no young photos of her. There's none of her family. It's just him, her, and their daughter. But he's in everyone. He's the star of that show. Bizarre.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. So everyone at the service was thinking, yeah, this is really
also, it
weird.
doesn't take as long to come up with all those photos if you're only doing them from like what's literally on
the
your
last
phone.
5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have to go to any other sources.
Mm-hmm. They thought it was weird, and he never spoke about Toni, like when he gave a speech or anything. Never really mentioned her. But to others, he mentioned that he was angry there's an investigation, and he said Toni had to go and get herself killed on federal lands.
That bitch.
How dare she get herself killed on a... Can you believe that? What a dick. Oh, my God.
Fucking turkeys just jumping off federal land.
Making me jump off after them.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Family had to just be, you'd just be irate. Like, I want to kill you type of thing.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. So Toni's family definitely felt like he had something to do with Toni's death. But they kept in contact. These people were so smart. Must be because they're also educated. But they kept in contact with him. Yes, even though they had a feeling he killed their daughter, because they knew that if they said anything to him, he would cut them out of Haley's lives.
Of course,
and they wanted to be able to feed information to the feds.
Oh, they are smart.
They were so smart. They talked to one of the nannies the family did that Toni and Harold had hired. Oh. And she told them that they stayed in different rooms that Harold and Toni did. So that was kind of interesting.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So, and Harold had that office in the basement, but he would also occasionally go on business trips during the marriage to Toni. So he'd leave on these trips, but without any luggage. And
what?
That's weird. I know.
On trips with no luggage.
And they were overnight trips, but then he would show back the next day. Fine. Like.
Where would you need a trip overnight with the nudist farm? Where? I'm trying to figure, where do you go?
There is one on the Western Slope. Maybe they went over there. Nudist colonies. Yep.
So he would go by himself with no luggage. Okay.
Yeah. Very weird. So, I mean, even just fake it, dude. Like, take something with you. I don't know. So investigators start searching for info on his business because they're like, what kind of business? Yeah. Do you have another house? What is this? The address for his business was his house. But if you talk to him, he'd say he had 90 employees working all over the country for him.
Okay.
And he had always portrayed himself with a lot of money, but it was coming to light that there were money issues. Toni's parents had bought the couple's house, their car. They had paid her tuition and I think the daughter's tuition to a special school. If the crazy thing is, okay, so if someone has a business, especially as a fundraiser, you're going to have an online presence. You want people to see your business and you want to get your name out there. His business didn't exist on the state's records. Like you can go look up, on the Colorado Secretary of State's website and put in a business name and they'll tell you if you're delinquent or if you're in good standing, whatever. But his didn't exist. Yeah, weird.
Okay.
Yeah, so they keep looking. On his signature line of everything, he'd have CFRE, which means he's a certified fundraiser. To get certified, that certification has to be recorded somewhere because it's an official certification. So they go to that agency that certifies fundraisers, and they're like, nope, never existed in our records. He's not in here. Does not exist.
What?
So he's never had a business at all.
Yeah. That's all been fake?
All been fake.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Whew, fucking con men. So then investigators, they're going through all this. They receive a letter about Harold's first wife, who had died in a tragic accident in 1995.
Oh. How interesting.
How interesting.
She
Most people had no clue.
Did she also chase some turkeys off a
cliff? maybe beneath a car of some sort. We'll see.
Did she get herself killed in an inconvenient way?
Inconveniently for him. Again. But the similarities between the deaths are pretty eerie.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Her name was Lynn Henthorne, and most people didn't even know he had a first wife or that she died. Like, he never spoke of it. Don't know if Tony knew. Don't know if her family knew.
Oh, my God. So, okay.
He told most people if they would ask about her that she had died in a car accident, but never really would say anything more than that. And people didn't want to pry because, you know.
Right.
Like, sometimes he would tell people she had cancer and then she died in a car wreck. It was just, but nobody ever really tried to find out why.
Everyone was trying to be polite.
Right. Then more anonymous letters and calls begin coming into the investigators, telling them they need to look into Tony's death further.
Really?
Yes. And so the investigators said, to receive these letters and calls is so very unusual, but they got over a dozen of them. So,
seriously?
So they're like, okay, we got to look into this. They looked into Harold's previous marriage. So they look into their marriage, and Harold and Lynn had lived in Centennial, Colorado. He actually still lived in that house until he married Tony.
So it's not like he forgot he had been previously married and just didn't mention it.
He just wasn't telling people about it anymore. In 1984, he and Lynn had gotten married.
Okay.
And she died just a year later, in 1985.
Oh my gosh, it only was a year?
Yeah, just a year. So they looked into Lynn. She's super sweet, very religious and loving, very Christian. She excelled at everything just like Tony. And her family never felt like they knew Harold very well, but that he was the outgoing salesman type. Still that same type of person. So
yes.
Ugh. So to Lynn's friends and family, he seemed wonderful. He's super warm and exuberant, but the one thing they thought was weird was he was in charge of everything for the wedding.
That is weird.
Lynn. Yeah. He had binders and binders full of wedding stuff, and he would have Lynn fill in all the binders with endless information about, all the florists they could use, all the DJs. Weird, right? It's usually the woman that's into this stuff.
That's very... This
OCD
is all very odd.
for one.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Very controlling. Almost immediately after their marriage, he had moved her to Colorado. I didn't see where she lived before that, but it wasn't Colorado. I think he met her somewhere else and then moved her there. So everything seems great, and they enjoyed the mountains a lot. They'd take friends and family up there on little ski trips, all this kind of stuff. But over time, Lynn became quieter and quieter, and she had been this very outgoing, loving person, and Harold gets louder and louder and more annoying in my mind. So
in my mind,
Lynn tried to be a good wife and do anything she had to please him. She had grown up in a gross, right? That's what I thought too. She'd grown up in a very Christian household where she was taught that the man is in charge. And even though she's a strong woman and she works and does all that kind of stuff, she ends up always having to serve Harold in some way or another. And she does it without complaining. He's always complaining himself of back issues. So he gets out of doing things and has her do them instead. So that's fun.
Jeez.
And Lynn herself had rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh, come on. And
so for her to do it, she was already in a ton of pain, but she did it anyway. And he's also obsessed with Lynn getting pregnant, and he would pressure her constantly, like she had any control over it. Like, okay, just a second.
Right, let me just...
let me just get pregnant. She told friends, they're having some marital issues, and she asked Harold if she or they could go to therapy, but he got very angry, and he considered that disloyal, talking about their issues to someone else. I know. I know.
That was weird.
He's wackadolly.
Red flag.
Yeah, very big red flag. Won't go to therapy. So when Lynn's family found out that Tony died, so this is his his first wife's family finds out that his second wife dies.
Yeah.
They were sure he had killed Lynn as well. They weren't quite sure before, but after hearing about the second one, they're like, yep.
Something fishy's here.
Yeah. And on the night Lynn died, someone driving past on a dark and deserted road, they see Harold and Lynn's Jeep. and they see Lynn in the backseat, and she looks scared.
Oh.
So this is, we'll learn about what happened to Lynn in the next episode.
Backseat looking scared? That's...
And they're on some curvy mountain road.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
So
what's with the mountains, huh?
What's with the mountains? Because they're remote. They're isolated. Yeah.
I almost said one mountain for murder, but that's not a D word because I'm an idiot. Oh, my God.
Mountain for murder. We haven't done that one yet.
No, we probably haven't, right? Oh, my God.
Hey, Oddies. Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM. If you're a longtime listener, hey, we cannot thank you enough for your continued support. And if you're a new listener, thanks for giving us a try. If you like us, please drop us a like, subscribe, or rate us so we can share our stories with more people around the world. And if you'd like more information, like links to our podcast and socials, along with our Patreon fan page, those links are all on Linktree under ODFM Podcast. That's linktr.ee/ODFM Podcast. Side note, you guys, we're obsessed with fan art, and we love making things with it, like stickers for our fans. So if you'd like us to use your designs, send it to us at odfmpodcast@gmail.com, and if we use your design, we'll be sure to send you a sticker.
Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful or disrespectful.